Hey, welcome to Objective Reviews. Today, we'll be taking a look at Overcast 2. Overcast is a podcast tracker and player, but that simple definition is largely deceiving. Tracking podcasts and playing an episode is a simple affair as it should be, with large tab areas for the essential controls like play, pause, seek forward and backward. While you're on the screen, take a look into that effects option. Surprise yourself. The episode's info comes up in a proper way, something I did not expect on an iPhone. Nonetheless, it's easy to use and OMG, it renders links in the description properly. Thank you for this. The podcast settings tab is massively useful if you have an iPhone of the 16 or 8GB variants. You don't want all those unplayed podcasts stacking up on disk space. When I tapped the Add Podcast button, I was expecting a simple URL field where I pasted the podcast link and done. However, Overcast goes ahead and recommends you some solid podcasts if you're starting off, and also allows to gather recommendations from your Twitter followers. This seems to be a growing trend and I definitely like it. Overcast also gives you the option to create playlists and add various podcasts to those playlists. Effectively, you'll be creating the equivalent of a mixtape of podcast episodes. I personally didn't find much use for this, but if you found a creative use for this feature, do let me know down in the comments section. The download screen is anything but straightforward. The stream and download buttons are confusing and I wasn't sure which one is active, as toggling either had the same action. This is either a bug or a design choice. Well, whichever it is, it's confusing for sure. The settings view, let's say, is very verbose, and that's a good thing. You can take a look at the disk space consumed by each podcast, total space utilized, and the sync data file size. Personally, I didn't find any use of signing up, as apparently all the sync happens over iCloud. A big shout out for including a delete account and all data option. There are various other major and minor settings you can tinker with to personalize your experience with Overcast. If you go into the nitpicky details view, you'll see a section towards the end which visually explains the controls for using your Apple EarPods to control playback. Nice! So, there we have it. On the surface, Overcast seems like any other podcast app, but the ability to personalize it to fit it to your requirements and no dreaded lock-ins of any type, it surely gives you a pleasant experience. Overcast is available on the App Store for free. However, I recommend you take a look into the patronage system and help support the app's development. Hit the like button if you like this review. If you disliked it, you know what to do. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next week. Cheers.